Good evening. How are we doing this evening? I hope everyone is doing well. And I want to thank you all for spending some time with me on this rainy, stormy Friday evening. Hope everyone is doing well, like I said already. So let me see who's here. I see Carm is here. Tony the Night Owl, good to see you. TT, my friend. Wise Up is listening. Ralphie is listening. That's great to hear. Paul C is in the house. Gina's stopping by. Arm Distance, Mike F, Tommy Stiggs. Who else? Did I miss anyone? I hope not. Let's see. Let's just make sure. Don McHugh is listening while he works. Good. A good amount of people here tonight. Thank you all for stopping by. So, before we get into my story this evening, I want to introduce you to a couple of new friends of mine that will help me along the way. Here is one of them. And here is number two. Two candle holders, which I think are pretty neat, pretty cool looking. In addition to my old standby here, my old standby. Can't do without that, right? Can't go without that. But what I'm going to do is light these, and then I'll shut the light off here and see what it looks like, right? What do you think? See if it adds to the ambiance, so to speak. What do we think? Fancy Nancy in the house. Yeah, Tony, I thought you'd like this guy. I got to come up with names. If you have names for these two, to my two familiars here, let me know. They definitely need names. As I name all of my animal friends, but these are a little different. So in addition to these guys, I also have my traditional drink to sip on while I spin my yarn for your entertainment. These guys are a little bit too close to me, so I'm going to just put them down a little bit here. Tammy C., how are you? All right, so a little background. Now, these stories that I'm going to tell you, there's actually three of them that I'm going to tell you. They all have to do with witches. And they're not, I'll give you a little warning. They're not long stories. They're not in-depth stories. They're more, and as always, word-of-mouth stories that have been handed down over the years. And they all center in an area around about 7 miles away from where I live, called Pottersville, New Jersey. Now, I've lived where I live in Long Valley for about 23 years. And I never really paid that close of attention to this part of the area where I live. It's it's mostly farmland, and the people that live there are also wealthy. Pottersville, it's either farms or a lot of new wealthier people moved into those areas. But there are also very rich areas in lore and legend around witches, which is very surprising to me because this little area that's really not even a town. It's an area, it's an area on the map. It was once the village of Pottersville. It's not even a town now. I think it's actually a part of Tewksbury. which is the greater town. But I always thought it was very interesting. So these three stories deal with witches, all in the 1800s. At the end, towards the end of the 1800s, going into the 20th century. I don't know how long these guys are going to last. I'll see how I think they're going to burn down pretty quickly, but we will see. You'd be surprised the heat I feel from these things. I bet they'll be a little bit easier when it's winter or when it's fall and it's a little cooler. It'll be a lot easier. But I'm feeling the heat from them. So let's start off with the first of our three witches. Interestingly enough, three witches, right? You always see those three witches like Hocus Pocus, the three witches from Salem. There's the three witches in is it the Odyssey or the Iliad? The Greek, those Greek witches. So there seem to be three witches always. But anyway, so the first witch the story comes from an 1876 lecture or sermon that was given by a reverend in the Presbyterian Church in Pottersville. And it was given as a warning for people to stay away from this lifestyle. In the late 1700s, late 1800s, excuse me, there still was this idea of witchcraft being real, being something that people needed to fear, and that it was brought on by Satan and evil, and people needed to resist that. It was their duty to resist the temptation of that. And reverends would often speak of this in their sermon. Well, this reverend by the name of W.D. Roston gave a sermon in 1876 where he spoke specifically about this one witch that was local to the area. And her name was Maggie Brown. Now, this is really interesting because Maggie Brown was an African-American escaped slave. And what people don't really know about this area where I live is it was a big area for the Underground Railroad, where escaped slaves would take their passage north, cutting through New Jersey. Some might stay in New Jersey, but most were headed towards Canada, and that was the Underground Railroad. And there were a lot of homes in this area, the country homes, that were part of the railroad. And as a result, a lot of African American slaves had passed through this area. And of course, like everyone else, things happen and they tend to die, right? Natural causes, accidents along the way. And it turns out that they built a specific cemetery for the dead of these escaped slaves. And over time, this cemetery was thought to have become haunted. And in his sermon, he speaks about this secret cemetery that was deep in the woods. And he couldn't pinpoint exactly where it was, but the local residents knew exactly where it was. And he was warning them to keep away from this area. And he spoke of this cemetery as being filled with hobgoblins, ghosts, and evil spirits. Men without heads, all bloody and terrible, for which to look upon would drive you insane. And that these all would occur and manifest every dark night in this area, in the cemetery. And this Maggie Johnson, who he termed a witch, would oversee this cemetery and would commune with the spirits, these evil spirits that were coming out of the ground and haunting the area. And she was thought to be very powerful in the sense that she had these spirits in the back of her hand, in the palm of her hand, so to speak. She could wield them and use them in any way, shape, or form. And she could use them for good. She could use them for bad. And that's what made her very dangerous because of that. Let's see. It was Paul C. How you doing, Paul C? And if anyone else came in that I'm missing. Gerard, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Mike F was here before and he came back. Nice. So Maggie Brown, Now, this is another interesting fact. I know all of you have seen those little statues that are sometimes on the front of a lawn. They call them a lawn jockey, and it's usually a black-faced statue holding a lantern. Now, what you probably don't know is that those specific statues were indicative of the house being part of the Underground Railroad. So if you saw one of those statues, that meant that was a signal that this would be a resting stop for an escaped slave. There would be, and people today are so ignorant. They think it's a racist thing. It has nothing to do with, well, it has to do with race only because it was an identifier for the African Americans escapees to stay there. It was a safe haven for them. That's what those statues meant at that time. And I just thought I would mention that because you see them, you would see them around in this area, and that's the reason you'd see them, because the locals were helping people, helping these slaves escape out of the country to Canada. Um, but anyway, so whether Maggie Brown was evil or even a witch, it was never really learned because no one would ever go near her. She was just so feared from all of this that she kind of was just left alone. And after a while, she kind of just vanished and disappeared. And no one ever knows what happened to her. She lived near this particular cemetery. And in fact, the cemetery itself, no one knows where it is today because it was all overgrown. People would just avoided it so long that it faded into history. And who knows where it is? It could be anywhere. My guess is it's someplace that's still rural, probably around Hacklebarney Park, somewhere around there. And that could explain why there have always been sightings of ghosts in that area, especially an old black woman walking around carrying a lantern is one of the spirits, and people say that it's Maggie Brown's spirit still watching over that cemetery. Um, so, and a very interesting and short story about a woman who was very misunderstood and was called a witch in a sermon by a Presbyterian minister out of fear. They misunderstood or feared her so much that they dubbed her a witch and kept away from her. Now, whether those spirits were really there and whether she could really communicate with them, your guess is as good as mine. So that's our first witch, Maggie Brown. Our second witch gets a little bit more sinister. Our second witch was a woman by the name of Fanny Bauman. Now, Fanny Bauman was descendant from one of the first German settlers in the area, because this area was traditionally settled by Germans or Dutch or German. And she owned a pretty large piece of property, and it was located off of an area. Let's see, where did I write this down? It was somewhere in the vicinity of that same Presbyterian church. So anyway, old Fanny Bauman was said to have had the power to make animals speak, number one. Number two, if she didn't like them, or if those animals didn't trust her, they would have seizures. And there are several accounts of local farmers who said their dogs would suddenly break down into a form of a seizure when in her presence. Unexplainable, just the fact that they would go into a seizure. There was also a tale how she cast a spell on the lye, and we all know, I don't know if we all do, but if you don't know, how they used to make soap in the 1800s is they would take lye and grease and mix it together, and they would eventually turn it to soap. Well, supposedly Fanny Bauman cast a spell on the village made all the lye refuse to mix with the grease, so nobody could wash, nobody could make soap to wash themselves. And then there was also a tale how one night Fanny Bauman put herself into a trance where she was in a rigid state, lying straight out like this in a perfectly rigid rigor mortis type of position, and stayed that way until 4 a.m. And while she was in that state, no one in the surrounding village was able to fall asleep because she did something in that state to prevent them from sleeping. In fact, they couldn't fall asleep until she actually woke up from this trance. And a whole host of people bought into this and swore that she was responsible for this, casting this spell on the whole village. And then finally, there was a local farmer named William Wentz who had an argument with her over a pig, I believe it was, and claimed that Fanny cast a spell on that pig, and that pig refused to grow. In fact, he said that it was 10 years old and it was still the size of a piglet because of her spell. And then there was also another farmer, George Hartman, who said the same thing, that she cast a spell on his pig and his pig couldn't grow. And that it only was able to make it start growing by cutting the pig's ear off and throwing it into the fire and saying a prayer that countered the spell. So Fanny Bauman was not very well liked in this community, and it wasn't until with all these little interactions with the locals, she began to become more and more unpopular, to the point where people wanted her gone. And it wasn't until supposedly it was discovered that a newly passed away infant's body had vanished. And the locals swore that Fanny Bauman had swiped the child's body to perform some evil ceremony on it. And the town was in an uproar and got together and burned her house to the ground. Now, she did not die in this fire, but she was said to have run from the area and never to return again, all because of this mob that burned her property and burned her house to the ground, because this fear that she had taken this child's body and done some evil ritual with it. So Fanny Bauman vanished from the town and no one ever saw her again. Now, the last witch is a woman by the name of Harriet Gibbs, and she's the most recent of these three. She actually lived into the 20th century. Now, Harriet Gibbs lived in a shack on what they call it's still there. It's called Hollow Brook Road, and it's the most rural part of the area we're talking about here. And she lived in this old crotchety shack on Hollowbrook Road, alone basically, except for her son, who was a hunchback, and a daughter who was very ornery, had a reputation for being very angry and mean. In fact, she would garnish a shotgun any place she went and would threaten any passersby. Even if you're just walking by the homestead, she would threaten them with a shotgun. Now, Harriet used to wear a bonnet, much like a Puritan, much like a pilgrim. The image of a pilgrim woman. You'd see that she'd wear that, and all her clothes were homespun and homegrown. So she was wearing something that looked like from the 1600s in the late 1800s. It was something looking out of a time capsule, so to speak, because that's how she lived her life. She lived her life the old ways, and that scared a lot of people. um, and every day she would take a trip. She would walk from Pottersville to Raritan, which it's not an easy walk. It's pretty far. She would walk to Raritan with a basket full of eggs and berries and butter and try to sell it in the square there. So she would do this every day. And as she would do this, people would see her coming and shy away from her because they feared her. They never knew what she would do or what she was capable of doing. Now, there's two stories specifically about her that are beyond creepy. Now, the first story comes from a farmer by the name of Lyle Johnson. Now, Lyle Johnson had gone off on a trip on his wagon, took his wagon and his team of horses, and had taken a long trip to sell his crop. And he's on his way back to Pottersville. And it was late at night, and he was tired, and the horses were tired. It was a long trip. They were very tired, and it was a very dark night, a cool night, a dark one. The wind was blowing, and he was very uneasy. He was very tired, but also very uneasy. And he was particularly uneasy because he knew he had to pass Harriet's house on Hollowbrook Road to get to his home, to get to his farm. So the story goes is that just as he's pulling up and passing the old shack where Harriet and her family lived, the wind suddenly dies down to a complete quiet. The crickets stop chirping. The tree frogs stop peeping. There isn't a sound in the forest. It's completely silent. And a chill runs up his spine. And as he continues to go, he kicks the horse, whips the horse, strikes the whip over the horse to go, the horse is to go a bit more. Behind him, he suddenly hears the noise of hoofs and the churning of a wheel of a wagon or a coach. And he heard not only the wheel but the metal clanking of the chains that harness the horses to the coach. So, knowing that he's tired, knowing that this sounds like it's coming, this coach is coming quite quickly, he pulls over to the side, just past Harriet's house, and he hears the sound coming closer and closer. He turns on his shoulder to see the coach as it comes by, and what he describes is the strangest thing imaginable. He describes it as a spiritual coach, basically ghosts of horses and ghosts of a coach, basically a phantom coach with a phantom man on top driving the coach. And the coach pulls up and stops in front of Fannie Mae's house. An old, not Fannie Mae, Fannie Bauman, or no, we're not even talking about Fannie Bauman. I'm getting confused here. It's Harriet Gibbs. So old Harriet Gibbs, it pulls up to Harriet Gibbs' shack, and Harriet Gibbs steps out of this spiritual carriage and quietly, without a sound, walks into her gate and into her house and shuts the door. And as she does that, the spiritual carriage strikes its whips on its spiritual horses and zooms past um, um, the farmer, which I forgot his name already. What the heck was his name? Lyle. It shoots past Lyle Johnson, and he is in a complete shock. And as it shoots past him, it fades as it goes farther. It basically it dematerializes and fades into the air. So according to Lyle Johnson, Harriet Gibbs had the power to summon up a ghost coach to take her wherever she was coming from. Was she coming from some nightly evil ritual or meeting with the devil? Who knows? But that's Lyle Johnson, and he swore to the grave that he saw this happen. So that's one story. The other story concerning Harriet Johnson is a little similar, but a little different. This was by another farmer by the name of Steve Wortman. And Steve Wortman was again passing the house, the shack, one cold, rainy night on his wagon with his horses. And he glanced over his shoulder as he was passing, and he saw an old woman following him, coming along pretty quickly for someone walking, but actually even gaining on him. Now, he wasn't going fast on his buckboard, but it is unheard of for an individual on foot to catch a buckboard. But this woman was coming faster. So he had to take a second glimpse to see, how is this possible? There's a woman gaining on me as I'm going along on my buckboard. So as he does it, he turns up again and looks, and she's not. There's no one there. The image is gone. And then as he turns back, he suddenly notices that right beside him is old Harriet Gibbs, wearing her bonnet and her 16th century clothes or 17th century clothes, looking straight ahead and actually floating in the air, floating and keeping pace with his carriage as it went forward on Brocala Road. Well, this scared the heck out of Steve Wortman to the point that he reared up the horses and pulled to the side. And as he did that, Harriet Gibbs continued to fly forward as if he wasn't even there, fired forward on her way, I guess on a spiritual broom, into the distance as the road curved around to the side. So that was the second creepy story about Harriet Gibbs. Now, whatever happened to Harriet Gibbs? This is the most bizarre part of the whole thing, is that Harriet Gibbs never really died in the sense that there's no record of her ever dying. In fact, one day she just vanished. She just completely disappeared. And not only did she disappear, her kids disappeared. Her adult son, who was a hunchback, and her adult daughter disappeared. And here's the creepiest part: her house disappeared. The shack was completely gone. Completely gone. So, whatever happened to them? No one ever knows. There's no record of a grave. There's no record of anything ever happening to them except that they just completely vanished and all their possessions, including their house, vanished off the face of the earth. So those are the stories of Pottersville's three witches. And to me, very creepy stories. Such detail by these farmers about what they saw, or what at least they believe they saw. And such a fear of the unknown to drive people to declare these women witches. But who knows, and to this day, there has always been sightings in that Presbyterian church in that vicinity, the graveyard that's attached to it, of an old woman in pilgrim clothing, a spirit of an old woman in pilgrim clothing, circling the cemetery at night, carrying a basket, and on certain nights they find eggs. Now you might say, the kids threw eggs, but these eggs are not smashed. These are chicken eggs, much like old Harriet would carry to Raritan every day, found in the graveyard on the tops of various tombstones. Now, is it the spirit of Harriet bringing eggs? Who knows? But these are the stories that have come out over and over again in that vicinity. And it's just spooky to me that this is so close to me. And now I never even knew about these three witches and their activities. I, for one, would love to see if this African American slave graveyard still exists somewhere, or was it plowed over? Did it just dissolve over time? There wasn't embalming. Who knows whatever happened there. It would be great to find out if that still exists somewhere, or if the body of or of any of these three witches. Where would they go? Where could they have gone? Now, it's said that the second one, not Harriet, Bonnie. Fanny Bauman is supposed to be buried in an unmarked grave in the Presbyterian churchyard. I don't know. That would be something I'd like to inquire too. Are there any unmarked graves there? Who knows? And who knows? That's the unknown. I'm open to anything. So I would tell you, I'd love to inquire and see what there is. So, those are my stories for tonight. I hope you like them. They're very short, very short. Um, and to me, a little bit pretty creepy, to have witches that were, and, even the things that they've done, they were creepy, but nothing really mean or nothing really destructive. I mean, there was the alleged missing of a child's body, but who knows? That too. Who knows what could have happened there? And if Fanny Bauman really did swipe the child's body, I don't know. But, and that in the old African American escaped slave, who knows what the ways of the slaves in bondage, how they acted and how they took their religion and how they took their religion to help them survive. Who knows? Maybe some of the spells helped them. Who knows? It helped the those escape. It helped them escape bondage. Who knows? So just very interesting history that is just said by word of mouth, because I can't find this anywhere online. I can't find any record of these people online anywhere. And I found these stories in an old magazine, an old local magazine, um, the Black River. I think it's called the Black River Times or something like that. And I found it in the local library. So it's just an old magazine that someone decided to write down these word of mouth stories about things that happened more than 100 years ago. It's just fascinating to me. Oh, Just Chillin' is here. How are you, my friend? Nick M is here. Good to see you guys. Thank you for stopping by. I see you guys are chatting away. That's good. Let's see my familiars here. My raven and my owl. They need names. Give me a name. Suggest a name for these guys. So I'm going to do a little bit of more local research on these particular stories when I get a chance, and see if I could find any locations for this stuff, because that to me would be the ultimate interesting experience. Fancy Nancy, yes, I do have a old fashioned that I'm sipping, which is the tradition, the ghost stories with the old fashions. Edgar and Poe. I like that, Tony. I like that. Edgar and Poe. Excellent. There's a whole big thing about Edgar Allan Poe's death that is still a mystery to this day. And I was thinking about doing a show on that, on his death. It's quite an interesting story on how he died. Um, Pretty creepy, pretty bone chilling, so to speak. Emmanuel Spatata, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. I hope I didn't miss anything. Thendo is here. How are you, my friend? I can't believe you're up. What are you doing up, brother? I thought you'd be sleeping by now. It's late for you. Yes, he did die on the park bench, Tony. But why or how did he die? Like, what actually caused him from dying? And he didn't actually die on the park bench. He died in a hospital, but they found him on the park bench in such a state, that a delirious state. And what caused that? What happened to him? Because he had vanished for days before this. So I'm not going to get into it now, but because I got to do some more research on it. But it's such an interesting story, and I did mention it on a previous. Um, which one did I mention that on? Because it was part of of a theory about his last words, but they're false. That theory was false. I disproved that. I think I did my research on that, and his last words were not. Oh, it was the lost colony of Roanoke that supposedly his last words um, had to do with the message. His last words were the message that was on the left by the lost colony of Roanoke, and that is not true at all. So I don't know who came up with that or who, but you don't have to make up something. The reality and the facts around his death are enough of a mystery. You don't have to make up silly stuff like that. Um, so I would love to know and look into that. And I think I might do a show on that in the future. Was he on a hallucinogen, Nancy? It's possible, but I don't know. There's a couple of theories as to what went on there. So, and there's actually a movie which is pretty good. It's not, it's not a great movie, but it's pretty good. John Cusack plays Edgar Allan Poe in it. I think it's called The Raven. You might want to check it out. It's kind of cool. And they come up with an ulterior, they come up with their own, and it's completely fictional, which is fine. I love that stuff. I love historical fiction. They come up with a fictional explanation as to what happened to him and how it's an actual, if you want to see the movie, I don't want to ruin it for you, but they come up with their own explanation as to what happened to him. Todd Father, how are you, my friend? Oh, Tony, you saw that? Yeah, that was it. I like that movie. It was kind of intriguing to me. I think Cusack did a good job being Poe. I bought him as Poe, and it kept my attention. It was interesting, and I saw the Pale Blue Eye too, Gerard. I did. Hmm. And that's supposed to take place when Edgar Allan Poe was in um, military academy in Point Pleasant. I mean Point Pleasant in West Point. So he's a character in that. Yeah, that's interesting too. I love historical fiction. It's great. Gerard, I don't know if you've seen this movie, but you of all people should see it. It is Black 46 or 47, Black 47. You definitely, if you haven't seen it, you have to see it. It's a great movie. It's just a great movie, and it's about um, an Irish soldier who was working for the British and comes back during the famine and sees his family killed, basically left to die, and he goes on a kind of like a Rambo rampage. It's really cool. You look it up and find it. You'll like it. You'll definitely like that movie. I thought it was a great movie. So I had, people complaining about the lights being on. So the lights are out. The candles are lit. I also heard somebody complaining, or it's not complaining, someone else suggesting I should have music playing, creepy music playing in the background. I'd love to do that. I don't know how to do it. I have to figure that out. I'm not an expert at that, so I can't really do that on the fly. Yes, Black 46, Gerard. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Or 47. It's either 46 or 47. I can't recall what the number is, but that signifies the year of when it happens, 1846 or 1847, whatever, whichever that year is. But you should definitely see it. You'll like it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was 46 or 47, Tony. I just it's one of those. It's one of those. Yeah, I saw it quite a while ago. I don't remember the exact title of it, but it's a good movie. Yeah, it takes place in 1847. Yep. So Todd Father, you're at a fire, huh? You're at a fireside. That's nice. That's cool. Is it cool there? Because it's still muggy here. It's still muggy and you know humid. It's not optimal for a fire. I can't wait to be able to get back out and have a fire. This weather just needs to break. I just have had enough of it. Yeah, it's so muggy. It's awful. Hey, you want to come on, Todd Father? Sure. Hold on. Let me see this. What's going on here? Here we go. I will put the link in here. Oh, TT, you mean like do it externally? Yeah, I guess I could do that. I was thinking like in the broadcast itself, as there's a way to do that. I don't know. I know that there's in StreamYard there's ability to do some background music, but it's not creepy music at all. It's like it's nothing like that. Because I listen to those music and it's not appropriate. It wouldn't work for me. All right, Todd Father. I tried to add you and it's not working. It's not working, dude. Sorry. I don't know what's going on. I don't think you have a strong signal wherever you are. I'm trying to add you. Drop, if you can hear me, drop and try it again. Let me pin this so it's there, so it doesn't go anywhere. Don, I'm not resolving it. I'm 100% correct, and you are wrong. What can I tell you? Go put some sugar in your wine, like all the rest of the Australians. Yeah, no connection. I know. You don't see Gina, Thien. What do you mean you don't see her? Well, she's not commenting. Maybe that's why you don't see her. She was here. If you go up in the chat, you'll see her. I don't know if you're still here, Gina. If you are, comment so that Thien can see you. But I do like Edgar and Poe. I like that. We're gonna go with that. Edgar and Poe. And you know what's interesting? I got these guys. I just got these guys today, and I ordered them through. I don't know if you've seen this site. It's called Temu, Temu. And when you go into it, they have a wheel you spin, and it gives you a discount to buy something. And I got this one for $1.95 or something, something like that, and this one for $7. So I couldn't resist, and they came pretty quickly. Hey, Noel, how are you? Good to see you, Noel. How are you, Noel? Good to see you. Yeah, Nick M. That's Tony. You could thank Tony for those names. She came up with them. They're good names. So I don't know what everybody else is doing tonight. Just chilling, just hanging out a bit. All right, let's see. Hold on, here we go.
Oh,
hey, Stunad, what's happening?
What's going on? So Mike. I'm introducing my friend here to YouTube.
Oh,
so
okay.
My phone would not connect down here in the gully here where we're at with the fire. So I'm on his phone.
Oh, okay. All right.
How's it going?
It's going well. I like that fire. Very nice.
Yeah, I got my long little piece of secluded area down here.
Yeah, so you would never know, like, looking at his house, in the front of his house, that like you walk down about 15 stairs, like down by the creek here, and he's got this fire pit. It's pretty sweet.
That's cool. Is that a mobile pit? Like, is that something you pick up and move?
Yeah,
Oh,
you can. Yeah.
You can, but it's big. It's probably
Okay.
The fire itself is probably at least 3 foot wide. You know what I mean? So
Okay. Cool.
pretty big. Yeah. So
Nice.
But no, I just want to jump up and say hello.
Oh yeah, thank you for saying hi. Yeah. So what are you guys doing? Drinking some beers? What are you doing?
Yes.
Beers,
Beer is being drank.
Beers being drank.
Got a couple dead soldiers.
Yeah. So I just I had to drop my photo booth off to the one girl who's going to work for me tomorrow, show her how to use everything, and then I came over here to chill out. It's one of my good friends from my old job, and once in a while we hang out. So
that's great. Excellent.
Yeah, I can't really see the chat. Hang on, I don't know if anybody's saying anything or what. But,
Noel's here.
Well, I don't care.
But Thindu's here. There's a bunch of people here. A bunch of folks here.
Okay, yeah. What's up, Thindu? Noel, how are you? Tony, Fancy, Nancy.
Look who it is. It's the young guy is here.
Yeah, listen, I gotta apologize. I missed most of the show. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the replay because I'm working. But I gotta tell you,
that's all right.
I gotta tell you though, the three candles with the lights low really set the tone. But I will tell you one thing though, Anthony. The smaller candle that was on to your right, you should move it over a little bit because the glow of the flame goes into your face. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Jesus Christ, Well, will you leave him alone? Are you seriously critiquing where his friggin' you know how much I'm refraining to swear right now?
See, Todd, you're witnessing the calls I get. I usually get this to be of a personal call. This should be over to the right. It should be up 15 inches this way to the left. I get these.
Oh shit!
Jesus, you know how bad I want to F-bomb Anthony's show right now, and I'm not gonna.
No, you want to do that? No.
I'm gonna go live just to cuss you.
There it is. Perfect, Ant. Perfect.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the ambiance good enough for you, Ralph?
No. The ambiance. No. See, the other shows that he did, the overhead lights were they were strong. And I told him, I said, if you're going to have a ghost story, try to darken the backdrop, set the mood. And
what do you want to do next? Put fangs in his mouth too, Ralph?
I got plenty of time. I've seen a lot of paranormal stuff.
Anthony, make sure one of your kids flick the light switch on and off a few times when you're doing.
Like the haunted house effect. Yeah. I'll get them right on that.
I did catch the first. I did catch the first story though, but the other two.
Okay.
3 stories, right?
Yeah, there's three little stories. Yeah, the other ones are better than the first one. The first one is just it might even be true. The first one, for all I know, it's just.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this show. Maybe it's because I'm into the paranormal and UFOs and all that stuff, but I like stuff like this, And it'll be even better. It'll be even better in the as fall approaches and when it gets colder. Hang out on the couch at night, with some popcorn, real nice, like TT's doing.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. It takes. I tell you, these shows take research though. Like I have to really research them. I don't just make this stuff up. It takes me a while.
Ralph could tell most of his stuff from experience. So.
Tell us, Ralph. What was it like? What was it like in 1876 when Fanny Bauman was out there running around as the witch? What was it like?
Ralph, didn't you date the Blair Witch?
Get out of here, will you? Who's at the fireplace? Whose fire is that? Is that your Todd?
No, I'm at a friend's house right now.
He's having a fire at a friend's.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So, Ralph, did you see the poll I voted on today, but that Payne put up?
What?
Go Go to Payne's channel and check it out. He put a poll up.
Who? Okay, whose channel?
Who's older, the Great Wall of China, Ralph, or I forget the third one?
Fossil, a fossil.
A
There
Whose
was
fossil.
channel? Whose channel?
Pain
like
like Bane.
Okay,
Pain like Bane.
Okay, I'll check it out later on. All right. Why? Does it pertain to me?
Yes.
Oh yes, it certainly does.
Yes. And I voted for you. You're the oldest.
You got my vote too, buddy.
No, I'm not the oldest.
Well, I mean, well,
Go look at it. You'll and look. Team
I'll
voted
check it
too.
out.
He said.
I'll
Team
check it
voted
out.
also.
But yes, I just wanted to jump on. I mean, it was I caught the first story. I'm on my way home now, but it was good. It was good. So I'll go back and watch the replay. No, you're really onto something. Everybody enjoys this.
Well, I'm glad. That's why I do it.
Yeah.
You know, I hope people do enjoy it.
Hey, Ralph.
Yes, Todd.
I'm still waiting on the dash cam.
Oh,
we got to buy the dash cam to see how many people you flip off every day.
Yes, I'm in for that. I'm definitely in for that.
Yesterday, it was so hot that the sausage was actually boiling in the pan. Yeah.
Did anybody swear at you today, Ralph?
Huh?
Did anybody flip you off today?
No, not today. No, I got off easy today. Yesterday, yes. Yesterday, 3 people. I have to drive slow because I got all this food in the truck, and I don't want the meatballs to come off the shelf anymore because then they'll go rolling down the truck and on the.
Yeah, they'll get stuck under the brake.
Again.
Right? You don't need that. What?
Yes, I got stuck under the brake. I was making chop meat out of the meatballs.
Yeah, exactly. What about your gumad there, Ralph? What about her? That's on Todd Father's show every morning. Did you see her?
Ask Todd. I was on. I was watching Todd's show this morning. I was waiting for him to.
I was looking forward this morning. Don't worry, Ralph. I'm going to pull over and ask your directions one day for Ralph Mucci's house. It's coming. Don't worry. Got it all planned out.
What's going on? Let me say hello to everybody in the chat. I didn't say I'm being very rude. Gerard, how are you, buddy? Tony girl, hi.
Gerard, actually, the quote was, "If you see a 10-foot tall alien," I think Gerard, his quote was, "If you see a 10-foot."
Oh, Dindu's in there.
Oh yeah.
I'm done. Every time he says that, it feels like he's, never mind. Who else? Don, how are you doing, Don? Don's here. TT, Gina. I don't know if these people are still here. Emmanuel, how are you?
Noel says the jogger, Todd. Noel says the jogger is his mom.
Noel has relatives, I think, or friends that live right down the street from me. Maybe it's her.
I don't know. She seems pretty old from the angle that Todd was shooting her from.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
Like I said, the next time I see her, I'm going to pull over while I'm live and say, "Can you pull me in the direction of Ralph Mucci's house?"
Tell her I said hi.
I will. Gotta be Italian. So
that's a good one.
Oh yeah, we haven't seen the last of her.
Where's Dindu? How come Dindu's not up here?
A woman on the street interview. We need a woman on the street interview with her. I don't know. That's a good question. He's in the chat. He's welcome to come up. I don't know what he's doing.
Probably get maced. She's probably got a sawed off in her hip bag there.
It could be, yeah. Yep.
Anthony, I'm still waiting for that lousy $10 from 2 months ago that somebody sent me. I still didn't get it from YouTube.
Get out of here,
Anthony. I'm not kidding.
Oh my God.
I'm not kidding. They screwed me out of 10. I'm like, I don't need $10, but still, it's a principle.
Well, you're only getting about 6 of it, so don't stress too much.
But listen, what would happen if I had hundreds of dollars? What would happen then?
I don't know. Ask Dindu.
No, I don't even want to.
Don't get him. Don't get him going.
I don't want to mention it to him.
I know.
That's kind of like a sore spot because he got jerked over quite a bit with YouTube. So I try not to bring it up with him. Actually, I brought it up yesterday on his show.
Yeah. All right, Anthony. Anthony, we gotta start searching out dash cams for Ralph.
Dash cams. Well, you know what? I have an idea. Can't Ralph just dumpster dive for one of them, and then we won't have to pay for it?
Dash cam runs about $40.
We'll get
I
you
had
one.
one. I had one a couple of years ago.
I'm telling you, that's a meal ticket, Ralph. The angry caterer.
The angry kid, right? Exactly. Look at this. Don McHugh is firing at Ralph. Ralph, that $10 is carved in stone. He said.
You're gonna get that in shillings.
Actually, guys, it's not $10. It's $7 after they take out their cut.
Spanish doubloons. That's what you're gonna get. Spanish doubloons.
Quite a bit of people.
All right, guys. I got to.
Well, thank you for stopping by, Ralph. Appreciate it. I really
I'll go
do.
back and I'll watch the. Oh, wait a minute.
Stop by next time.
He's in Jersey.
By the way, I got a notice
watch,
from StreamYard. I'm reaching your limit. You're reaching your limit. You know, we're gonna cut you off.
Yeah,
So.
Get off the call and start paying, will you?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about going on Rumble and YouTube as well. Rumble
you know what? I have to say, Ralph, I created a Rumble account. I did create a Rumble account just because I was looking into it, and I created one. But there's nobody on it. There's nobody that we know on it. You know, there's
it would be a whole bunch of new listeners if you.
Stand Up is on it. You said, Todd?
24 followers. Yeah, I looked it up today.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's instant monetization.
You're right. It is. You're right.
Yes,
it is instant monetization there.
With Rumble, anything goes.
Yeah.
Anything goes with Rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you would get a whole bunch of new listeners. I don't know, if you want to do that. We have dedicated listeners. We have good listeners.
Right.
Your buddy Clayton Morris is on Rumble too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is he getting successful there or what?
I mean, I would have to look at his channel on Rumble. I mean, he's got over 2 million subscribers on YouTube, but I don't know what he's got on Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, like there really isn't any comparison with the numbers to YouTube, because I was looking at the top people. The top people are nowhere near.
Wait a minute, Stiggs is saying something important here. He's saying that there's a $150 threshold. I don't know what he means by that.
Where is Stiggs? I don't even see him. Where do you see him saying that?
He's answering me. He's saying, Ralph, there is a $150 threshold. I don't know what that means.
Oh, that's the minimum. He's right. That's the minimum you have to make before they'll pay you. In other words, you have to get to $150 before they'll pay you.
Oh, screw that.
Oh, that's shit.
It's a no-win. It's actually a no-win situation. It really isn't. It really is.
Yeah.
And the only one that I know that's on Rumble that's very successful, and I always mention him, is Clayton Morris from the show Redacted. Other than that, I mean, stand-up guy I think is on there now. But Clayton Morris, he's got over 2 million listeners. And he has nobody less than 20,000 in his channel at a time.
That's crazy.
Ralph, are you on replay? Because Todd just said exactly what you just said. So are you like the replay of what Todd said?
What? Say it again?
Forget it.
Well, I'm driving. I'm driving. I'm looking at the
He
chat.
said exactly what you just said. He said everything you just said.
Fucking meatballs, Ralph.
Well, then I'll just reiterate what he said then.
Okay, all right.
You just did.
Okay. Okay. I got 24.
You're the bingo girl.
So, Ralph.
I got
Ralph,
15.
yeah.
Wait a minute. You got bingo. Bingo.
You're a weirdo. Weirdo. So, Ralph, when's the next dumpster dive? You got to go live on that one. You have to.
I went to a house today. This is the truth. I went to a house today. There was a dumpster in the driveway, but it was full with It
You
was
are
filled
going to
with
get
sheet.
your ass kicked one of these days doing that shit.
Let me finish. It was filled with sheetrock and 2x4s and all kinds of empty spackle buckets. There was no goodies in it.
So that was a
No
random
goodies.
thing. You just saw a dumpster on the side on someone's house and went there.
No, I had a catering job, another catering job,
That's still
and
pretty random.
Wait,
when I
here's
went
your
there,
food. Let me check out your dumpster for a second.
listen, I made a score last week. I got all those DVDs, plus I got the DVD and VHS combo, and that works. It works. It's fine. It's like brand new.
My
Wow.
friend here doesn't even know what to say. He's got so many questions right now.
Another man's garbage is another man's treasure. I don't blame you.
I'll wait till I fill him in on all this.
Tommy says after $150, you get 50% of the donations.
Oh, the hell with that!
Yeah.
Shitty.
No, that's highway robbery. That really is.
Yep.
The only way you can make money, and I'm sure that every content creator will agree with me. The only way you could really make money on YouTube is if you have those millions of listeners, where sponsors want to, companies want to sponsor you, and they pay you X amount of money. But other than that, it's you really can't. I mean, it's very difficult. Where do you get peanuts? You get more with a Cash App, like Dean doing and Stick said. You're better off getting a Cash App or a Venmo, and still, they take money out. And it's not fair to the listeners. But that's the way it is. If somebody wants, give a cup of coffee or whatever, that's really the only way.
Mm-hmm.
And by me, there's no way that I'm ever going to have millions of listeners.
I'm telling you, get the dash cam, Ralph. It's going to take off.
Start having hot women on there like Howard Stern.
Yeah.
The dumpsters, I think the dumpsters would really get a lot of listeners. A lot of people would tune in for the dumpsters.
I have so much stuff that I have to get rid of. I'm not kidding. I don't know. I donated like $3,000 of beauty supplies to the town, but I have like 7, 8 heaters. I have like 9 humidifiers. I got so much stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have a garage sale.
Just put it on Facebook Marketplace, man.
No, Todd, I don't want to be bothered with that. You know what I'm saying? Then I have to ship
That's
it.
what most people look at to sell stuff now.
Then I got to ship it.
No, you tell them to come and pick it up. You say, look, it's a pickup only, right? Put it on there. Say, come by and pick it up.
Maybe I will do that. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I will try that. I don't even have the time to do that.
Yeah. Well, you had the time to dig them out of the dumpster. So
just listen. Just take one day off from dumpster diving. You might have some success. So
somebody's fading out.
it's probably me.
I can still hear you.
Who's fading out?
I can put on a light, bro.
So, all right then. I'll let you go, Anthony. I just wanted to come up and
guys.
say
well, thank you for stopping
all right,
by.
Anthony,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Great show.
Great show.
I'll watch. And then Todd, I'll talk to you later. Anthony, I'll watch out for your Godfather show on Sunday.
Oh yeah, Sunday. Yes. Yep. We're going to continue that.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one. All right. So we had a quick visit there. That was nice. I'm going to wrap this up. Been on for over an hour. So I thought the stories were pretty cool. And we accomplished the naming of our little familiars here, Edgar and Poe. And we had a little talk about witches in the Pottersville area of Hunterdon County, New Jersey. And I want to thank each and every one of you for spending a Friday. Why do I think it's Saturday? It's Friday. A Friday night with me on this balmy. I mean, it's really humid here, balmy, and there were thunderstorms recently. So I'm just hoping it gets cooler. I'm really looking forward to the fall. I hope you are too. I'm going to continue to do my research and find some more interesting stuff, and hopefully keep you entertained and keep you tuning in, because I really appreciate you guys so much for spending time with me. and listening to me. I think it's really important to document these word of mouth stories. I think it's really cool. And then I'm going to get to the point, promise I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to share some original content of stories that I've written in the past. I will do that eventually. But right now I'm focusing on, what the stuff that I learn that's out there. And then who knows? Fiction is always there. I love fiction. So fiction's always an option in the future. But as always, I want to say thank each and every one of you for being a part of this. The comments, hitting the like button, all that stuff is awesome. It really helps me out, helps me get the show out. Last ghost story got over 225 views. The previous one, I think, was at 300. I mean, we're getting decent interest in our ghostly tales. So I really appreciate all of you and the help you do by being a part of me, being a part of this show. It's really great. So as always, I want to say, build the guild. Thank you for watching, and stay scared. Have a great night. God bless.